Hello and welcome to an update of the Perionyx, the red wigglers, and the European Nightcrawlers. So we're going to start the update with our blue worm bin. And we have a beautiful tree growing in here. I decided to leave this alone. This is a mango pit. And just look at that. That is a really strong root system. I don't think a mango would do well in our climate, but you never know. I might just wait and plant it come spring. We'll see. Meanwhile, I'll just leave it in here and check on our guys and what they're doing. Yeah, a lot of mango pits. Takes a long time for them to break down. Eventually they will, and this is our corn on the cob. Well, it used to be corn on the cob. That also takes a while for it to break down. I'm waiting for these guys to work over the majority of the bedding that is left here so that I can start harvesting this. So I'm not giving them any more bedding. I do give them kitchen waste though. And since I monitor this weekly, if I see that the castings will start getting too moist, I will then just remove the lid, keep it covered with some newspaper and some netting on top, mosquito netting, or you've seen me use shade cloth before. So that lets the castings dry out a little bit, but still be able to keep it nice and moist for them before I decide to harvest. Now this is where we fed, and of course this is where they're going to be. Oh yeah, look at these lively guys. Ooh, squishy wormies. Yeah, look at these guys move. Blue worms. Blue. Sorry that I disturbed you. But you can see that there's not a lot of them over here because this is where all the goodness is. So might as well continue. I'll feed in this corner right here. And we'll just add the kitchen waste, like I said, without putting any bedding in, only because I want this bin to get harvested soon. Otherwise, I would definitely be putting in bedding. So give it a little sprinkling of a combination of oyster shell and eggshell. Cover it up. Mark it. And move on to our red wiggler bin. And here are the red wigglers. And same thing here, you can see how little bedding is left. They've worked everything over beautifully. So this bin is going to get the same food minus the bedding as the Perionyx bin. And so I'm just turning the material over, making sure I like the consistency and that I don't really need to do anything just yet. It's not wet enough where I need to remove the cover. Hello, guys. Let's see, I fed them in this section. Yeah, lots of babies too. All of this is just worms and worms. And I'm keeping the corn where the moisture is the highest so that the worms can get the most out of it, because they dry out pretty quickly and fairly easily once the actual kernel is gone. Well, they did demolish the food. So, okay, we'll give them a feeding in this area. Check my gloves, make sure I don't have any wee ones. We'll give them some mango skins, banana peel. They love fruit. We do eat a lot of fruit in my house. I know some people don't, but we love it. Tomatoes, I'm just going to pop them open here. Yeah, you're going to love this. Okay, these guys are doing awesome. So I think these two bins are going to be harvested pretty much at the same time. At least it looks like that to me. Let's mark it. If you notice, I always find something like a newspaper or a fork or a spoon, in this case, to mark where I feed. It certainly helps me when I'm doing these videos, because I have so many systems running that I just forget where I feed sometimes. Okay, these guys are done. Let's move over to the Euros. And here they are. So my European Nightcrawlers still have plenty of bedding, and they even still have some of the remnants of that egg carton that the blue worms and the red wigglers demolished in the same period of time. But let's see how this stuff looks. Looks good. Well, they're working that over, so there's really not much left, just a couple of pieces, and that should be gone pretty soon. That's absolutely fine. I'm gonna fluff up like I do in all my, oh, this is where I fed. Okay, so these guys are busy working the area of the food. Yeah. Hello, babies. Yeah, they're a lot feistier than my other worms. So it looks like that's where I fed. So we can feed them in this area here. Check the glove. Yeah, we're not adding bedding at all to this, not because we are looking to harvest it, but because it doesn't need any. But if this bin would have gotten overly moist, I would have done the same thing. I would have just removed the lid and left it to dry out, of course covered by mosquito netting to prevent fruit flies from entering, and let it dry out to the point where I like it, and then put the lid back on. It's always best to catch the problem before it becomes too bad to manage. So I think that is why for me it's easier to compost with these 10-gallon and 14-gallon bins because I can actually get to the bottom and fluff it up, as opposed to like a CFT system where the bottom is not accessible. And so the material, you really have very little control about what happens at the bottom of a CFT system. Even if you run the system well, sometimes the material will be either too dry or too wet. But in here, I really have control over the consistency of the finished castings. So that really, really works for me. I'm a control freak, can you tell? So these guys are done, they're all fed, and we will leave them alone and check on them next time. Thanks for joining me.